and participants here for the international conference. The topic of today's international e-conference is Neuroleadership in the New World. The college, Shri Kumarswami College, Ausa, is run by Shri Mahanta Swami Shikshan Prasarak Mandal, Ausa. The college is affiliated to Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded. The college conducts many innovative activities for the benefit of students and teachers community, and the international conference is the part of these innovative activities. All these activities are taking place under the academic leadership of Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar sir. He is also the presiding authority of today's international e-conference. On behalf of the organizing committee of the college, I welcome you, sir, as the presiding authority. Today, I am very glad to announce that we have the honorable chief guest and keynote speaker, Maureen Villalobos ma'am from San Jose, Costa Rica, Central America. On behalf of the organizing committee of the college, I heartily welcome you, ma'am, as the chief guest and keynote speaker. Today, I am feeling very happy to inform you that we have the session chair, Honorable Dr. Ratna Yadav ma'am, who was formerly HOD Department of Zoology at Silvassa. Today's international conference is an effort by the Department of Zoology, Shri Kumarswami College, Ausa, and the convener of this international e-conference is Dr. S.S. Kale, and co-convener of this international conference is Dr. Kadam K.N. sir. I welcome both convener and co-convener for this international e-conference. And I know that we are very eager to listen the keynote speech of the honorable speaker. But before that, I would like to invite Honorable Prime Ambedkar sir for his opening remarks. Please, sir.
Thank you, Professor Karad sir. And today's resource person, Maureen madam, who is joined from Costa Rica, Central America. On our request, she accepted the invitation of our college. She is expert in the neuroleadership, neurological field, and she will deliver a topic on neuroleadership in the new world. This topic is related to our health and what are the current situation of this field. We will know from her within few seconds. I welcome to our respected session chair Dr. Ratna Yadav madam, who is assistant professor and former HOD of Zoology. She is also our resource person of our series from last 2 years. I welcome Head Department of Zoology, Professor S.S. Kale sir, HOD and convener. Also Professor Dr. K.N. Kadam sir, co-convener, and the person who is taking effort to conduct all the international conferences, Professor Dr. P.D. Karad. All the participants, those who are joined, including Dr. Swanand Shukla sir, all the participants I am seeing on the screen, Dr. Mahesh Chandra sir, all from my college and affiliated college, and maybe few from abroad also. I welcome all of you. We are enjoying this international conferences series every day or mostly frequently because of the all efforts of our college team, which is supporting me to conduct all this. So I welcome again all of you and the resource person Maureen madam. I hand over next to the Professor Karad sir. Thank you to all. Welcome to all.
Thank you, sir, for your introductory speech for this international e-conference. And now, I would like to invite Honorable Keynote Speaker and Chief Guest, Maureen Villalobos ma'am from San Jose, Costa Rica, Central America. She is going to deliver a lecture on the topic Neuroleadership in the New World. On behalf of the organizing committee, I request you, ma'am, for your keynote speech. Please, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to give you some information from this part of the world and to be able to share with you how we think and how we feel about what is happening in the new world. And when I say new world, this is because we are going into a very interesting stage in our world, and that's why it is important that we hear about what we need to do with our leadership and also with our minds. And that's where neuro leadership comes in. So I'm going to present. Do I have authorization to present here? Okay. I am. I am not being allowed to present. Let me see. Okay, yes, it's just not allowing me. Let me see what I can do. Yes, please. I am when I choose what I need to choose what I want to share. It's not allowing me to share the presentation. Okay, there you go. I got it. Okay. Can you see now? Okay, so here we are talking about neuro leadership in a new world. Well, just a quick introduction because we don't have much time and I have so much to tell you about this topic that I don't want to take it too much on the introduction. But my background is I have worked all my life with university education because it's a family business. So after that, I traveled the world to promote some of our programs in educational programs. And as a consultant, I came back and I decided to go into neuroscience just because this gave me a lot of answers about what was happening in our in myself first, and then also how I could lead others in a better way. And this is why we started here. And today I want to ask you, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. And the first one is, are we leading our lives or are our lives leading us? And I think this is a question that we all have to ask ourselves every day. And it happens to us that many times we are just led by our all that's happening around us, environment, our situation. And what neuro leadership is about letting go of a lot of those lived and experienced emotions, about letting the old memories be something that help us instead of keeping us back. And also understanding that the previous knowledge that we have is something that we need to value very, very greatly so that we can actually become better persons every day. So we don't have time many times to evaluate our pros and cons on our decisions because we are so full of these memories, of these experiences. And sometimes we just take those experiences with us and we don't create something new with what we have lived. And so neuro leadership this is what neuro leadership is about. It's about being able to connect with your mind, connect with your emotions, connect with your purpose, connect with people, and connect with your body. And I want to ask you here again, so to leave you with some reflections. Do you know how to connect with people? Do you really know how to connect, as in deeply connect? How do you connect with yourself, with your body, with your feelings? Do you know when you're sick, when you are living an emotion? Do you know that you're aware of that emotion? And are you leading it the way that you should? And that's what they call this emotional intelligence. But it's not only about emotional intelligence, it's about understanding your emotion, taking it and using it in the right way so that you can actually be a better person. And how does the way you connect with yourself affect the way you connect with others? And this is the most important in the end, because we take a lot of these experiences from the past, we take a lot of these emotions and feelings that we have lived, and many times we use them in a way that is not the best for communicating with other people. And it's important in neuroleadership, it's important to have a connection also with the senses. And when I say the senses, this is doing activities like the exercise in the morning, meditation, connecting with arts, with nature, with music, with movement. Many times we also need to do, if we are kinesthetic, we need to move around, we need to dance, we need to understand that this is all about connecting with ourselves and our body. And of course, the most important in the end is connection with our internal power, which is in the end the armor of love and light. And this is what we're going to be able to give to others. So this is not something very just not real. This is something real. This is our energy. This is what we're perceiving, what we're receiving, and what we're giving others. So this is very important that we understand. If we take time, for example, that's just one small thing. Do we really take time to laugh? Do we really take time? And this is laughter therapy is something that I always like to use, because this stimulates our brain, and this is specifically used for in neuroscience. So laughter therapy uses humor to help relieve pain and stress and improve a person's sense of well-being. It's used for treating cancer, stress, and other illnesses. It stimulates the hormones which release the happy juice endorphins. And as some of you may know, if you are in the medical science, these endorphins are very important for our concentration, for our decisions, in order to make better decisions, for our balance and harmony. And so these little things that we need to be doing in our lives in order to lead our lives. And then we go into what we are taking to the organizations. If we're working, if we're not understanding that leading ourselves is important, and if we're not leading ourselves the way we should, then are we leading happy organizations? How can we do that if we are not happy ourselves? And by happiness, I don't mean being happy all the time. It just means understanding gratitude, understanding ourselves, understanding the way that we can be harmonic within our life, so that we can also bring harmony to the organizations where we work. And this is where I like to introduce a topic that was actually written by Ken O'Donnell. He's an English author, and he talks about a concept that is called endo-quality. And he says that it's not possible to have an excellent dynamic organization with positive results if its human team is lost and confused. And so the same as we start with ourselves and understanding ourselves, it's important that the people in a company or an organization understand themselves. And sometimes they're so full of work, full of everything that they're doing in the everyday, that they're not taking the time to do that. And so endoquality means talks about the values and inner qualities that the business world needs. And this is what grows in the individual from the inside out. So when we talk about neuro leadership, we need to be able to help those people grow from the inside out. And when do we develop inner qualities such as level-headedness? And I'm not talking about basic leadership values. I'm talking about even deeper and more profound values, which are level-headedness, vision for the future. Do we really develop our vision? Do we really understand the sensitivity for other human beings and nature? Do we teach or help our people and organizations understand how cooperation really works? And do you understand mutual respect? Many times we assume that we do, but I'm sure that you all might agree with me. We might see that in real life there is sometimes no mutual respect. And I understand in your country, respect is a very important thing. And because of your culture and everything that you do, this is very, very important value. In our cultures, sometimes it doesn't work the same way. And maybe the respect is not profoundly in our religions, maybe in our behaviors, maybe in our what we have been taught. And so it's very important for us in this side of the world to understand what real mutual respect is. Then we have what I'm really talking about today, the most important, and it's self-leadership. How do we teach our families? How do we teach our organizations? How do we teach even ourselves to self-lead? And to self-lead is mostly to understand that if we cannot lead ourselves correctly, we're not going to be able to lead anybody else the way it should be. So we need to understand balance and harmony. Internal is very important. So here I go a little bit deeper into what is the neuroscience of all this. Humans have two levels of thinking. It's like an iceberg. There's one side that is showing, which is our conscious side. And then there's the subconscious side. Now, the subconscious is where all our decisions, behaviors, and conducts are. So it's very, very important to understand this subconscious, because that's where we're going to be taking our decisions. That's how our behavior is going to be. That's what our conduct is going to show. And so it's very important that we understand this. So the conscious has a limited capacity. It's up to 9 variables simultaneously. So as you can see, the conscious is usually not, it's not easy for our conscious brain, our conscious part, to take in a lot of information. However, the subconscious has an unlimited capacity. It considers infinite variables for all decisions. So the human brain starts activating seconds before being conscious of stimulation. This is called the priming effect on decisions. So before reason and conscious acts, and before rational logic intervenes, there is this priming effect, which means that many times we react right away under this conscious or subconscious stimulation before we act. And that is why we always tell people, count to 3 before you answer something. Take a break before you make a decision. Just make a pause. in your life, if you want to change something in your life, and take some time before you take action, just because this is what's happening in your brain, and the subconscious will start deciding before we even know it. So we need to be able to take this time, and this is what's happening in the world right now, that we are not really taking this time to understand ourselves, to pause, to see what is happening, to take that subconscious to the conscious, and so that we can actually make a decision in the best way. So, if we want to change, how do we generate change in our minds? We need to be able to understand neuroplasticity, which is a capacity of the brain to form new connections or modify existing ones. This, for me, just means that we have the ability to change everything around us, because when we understand that even our brain can make new connections every so often, there is no age, and we can make changes anytime we decide to do that. We can auto direct brain with our environment, with our experiences and our knowledge. And this is a very, very strong power. But we need to understand this power so that we can actually understand what kind of changes we can do. Neuroplasticity allows us to learn in each stage of our lives. And as I was saying, there is no age. Our brain keeps creating new connections even after 70, which is usually the age that it's lower, it's a little bit slower, but it will keep creating new neurons. However, we need to understand, we need to stimulate the brain so that we can keep it young. And that's why it's important. Constant training is the only thing that's going to allow us to develop our cerebral capacities. And this will establish new connections and nerve cells. So the training, the permanent training that we do, being here today and seeing all of you, educators and also people who have been working for many years and are still learning every day. That is so important, very important for all of us. And one thing that I like to emphasize is the cerebral dominance in leadership. And that is the one side of the brain predominates when processing, interpreting, and presenting information. So behavior depends on the hemisphere that is more active, and it is also based on gender. So how is a person with the left hemisphere predominance? I don't know if you all have taken any test and you know what your hemisphere predominance is. And if you haven't, I suggest you do. But how is the person with the left hemisphere? And if you know somebody, just think of the types of qualities that they have, and they can be analytical. They are usually organized. They like precise words. They are good with calculations, with theories, with models. They have a high IQ. They evaluate. They're critical. They're great planners. And it's also very important to understand this, because when we have teams and when we have to work with other people, it's important that we know if they are tending to be on or they have a predominance on the left hemisphere, so that we can understand them better and so that we can work better with them. So what do people with a left hemisphere predominance need to work on? And because I'm not only going to focus on the qualities and abilities, we also there's things that we need to work on, and these things we need to develop and keep training on. So they probably need to work on creativity, because they can be very analytical and logical. They need to work on having more imagination. So let's stimulate them with more imagination. We have students that are like this, and we have to know how they are so we can actually stimulate them in the right way. And they need to work on managing uncertainty. I think there's somebody who has the microphone on. Okay, thank you. We need to work on managing uncertainty. We need to work on developing intuition. How do we do that, Dee? And we do that by stimulating their senses. We need to work on capacity to express sensibility. Many times the left hemisphere predominant people will not be able to express their feelings, their emotions, because they are so analytical and logical. So we need to work on that, because it's all about balance and harmony, right? And so we need to work on the attitude for the arts. If they're not artistic because they haven't developed that and that's not their predominance, it's okay. But they also need to understand how the importance of that, of the artistic side. So how is a person with the right hemisphere? The person with the right hemisphere is going to be original, innovative, creative. This is the creative side of our brain. And many times we prefer real life learning. I'm personally right hemisphere, but I have a combination of both. And that's something that I can tell you too. We probably will have, many times we will have both working very close to each other, but most of the times there is a predominance on one of them. And so we can summarize, we jump from one topic to the other. Maybe those are the kids or the students that you see that might be too active, too dynamic, and sometimes we categorize them in, ADHD. And sometimes it's not only about that, it's about understanding how their brain works. And usually unorganized, usually very independent, intuitive, because they have developed this intuition, this affectionate part, which is part of the right hemisphere predominance.
आवाज
And
ज्यादा डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है.
I'm sorry. And they can be extroverts too. So what do they need to work on? They need to work on order, on discipline, because they might be too all over the place, right? We need to work on their self-control, their organization, their tolerance to criticism. We need to work on precise knowledge. The right hemisphere deals with the present, and this is something that I think is very interesting. So they deal with the present because they're more logical. No, I'm sorry, they're more about the future and the vision of the future. They think in images and learn through movement of the body. So they have a vision. And so they deal with the present. The left hemisphere instead thinks linearly and methodically, like I was saying, and they might just take care of the past and the future just because they like to understand what happened before, make a whole analysis on that, and make deductions on what is happening, what's going to happen in the future. In the woman's brain, the front lobes have 15% more density than men's. And this is not about being better or worse. This just means that the areas of the left hemisphere related to language development are 25% bigger. So that's why women, sometimes it's easier for them to communicate, to express their feelings, and they are just more talkative in general because they process words with two hemispheres, which gives them more verbal capacity. Cerebral dominance determines what things in life we give more importance to. And that's why I thought it was important for you to get a little bit of what the neuroscience of our brain can be related to leading our lives. It's important to develop that also the other side of our brains when we understand that we are too much of the left or too much of the right. We also need to work on balance, and that's what it's all about. We can connect our hemispheres with neurocognitive training. And as some of you may know, this is an example. This is a brain after sitting quietly, and then you have a brain after a 20-minute walk. So exercise is important, activating the hemispheres that are more necessary for whatever it is that we're doing in our lives. And exercises, as I was saying, lead to happy minds. And here we have exercises that are recommended in neuroscience. It's guided meditations, breathing, exercise 45 minutes a day, stimulating both sides of the brain, by just doing something different every day. And this is just something very simple that we can do. Take the other way to go to work. Use your left hand instead of your right hand if you are right-handed. And that sort of thing, this is how we're going to be stimulating both sides of the brain. Because I'm going to close with this, neuroleadership for the new world means that in order to make decisions, we need intuition. And therefore, we will have more reason. In order to make decisions, in order for us to have leadership, we need some logic, but we also need creativity. We have permanent change, so we need to be able to understand all of this, understand our brains, understand our bodies, so that we can have some emotional leadership, so that we can actually be examples to other people in the world, and that we can be examples just by leading with example. And this is what real leadership is about in the new world. It's about leading ourselves so we can actually lead others by example. I have some tools here, but I don't think I'll be able to give them to you. Maybe just to give them to Bedkar, and then he can give them to you. And I thank you very much. Thank you for today. I hope this was useful. It's so much information in such a short time, but I wanted to just give you a brief information so you can stimulate your minds for what is coming and what is still to come.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable keynote speech on the topic Neuroleadership in the New World. And you have told us about the importance of balance in between mind, body, and intellect, and how we should stimulate our brain for taking positive decisions and how to lead life. So, on behalf of the organizing committee, I thank you, ma'am, for your very, very important and significant keynote speech.
Thank you.
After this, I would like to invite delegates and participants for questions. If there is any query, if somebody wants to put his opinion or view about the topic, please.
Hello.
Hello, Sunita.
Yes. Madam, very nice lecture. It is psychotherapy, I think. I just wanted to know that catecholamine you mentioned about. Catecholamine hormone. So is it temporarily secreted or permanently stays in the body? Because it decides the nature. It decides the attitude of a person. So let me know whether it is its presence is temporary or permanent in the body.
Yes, it is permanent in the body, but it will be or remain maybe not as active. All these are hormones that are permanently in the body, but it will be stimulated by certain stimuli, right? It will be stimulated by different activities that you do. So what we need to do is stimulate them more often.
Okay. So the laughter is one of that.
The laughter is exactly one of the ways that we can stimulate that.
Thank you.
Try to do that every morning, and you'll see how it changes your life.
Yeah. So we have some clubs that they promote laughter. The laughter clubs we have in the morning. So
excellent.
So I can explain the people, those who join my laughter club. I can tell about catecholamine, and
of
I'll
course,
give a reference. So
yes,
it's a
do
nice
more
lecture.
research.
It was very nice.
So you can tell them and let them know that how important it is to laugh. Yes.
I was knowing about the endorphin and adrenaline, but I was not knowing about the catecholamine, whether it is permanent or temporarily secreted. So thank you for the nice information that you have given. The topic is very interesting, and Even we have some points in our religious book, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where you maybe heard about Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Sri Krishna tells Arjuna to have its mindset changed. So he was counseling him to do some karma, what the work he should. So it is also the, what I mean, it's a psychotherapy, it's a neuroleadership, what he was doing. I can correlate with that. Thank you very much. Nice explain.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Sugita.
Hello, good evening, Dr. Bedkar, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Wonderful presentation. And good evening, the whole organizing committee. A wonderful presentation. We are relating psych with our leadership and especially the nervous system. Of course, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, these are the two things. And you very well explained about the cerebral cortex, the right and left lobe. So how they control our body or emotions or practicality is there. So definitely that part, is one of the very important setup. Ma'am, my question is whether it is a natural phenomena that, we are having this instinct or this aspect strong in our brain and then we become leader, or the leader has to change his thoughts and then the brain activity will get changed. That is first my question. And second question is, the sympathetic and parasympathetic activities are very important of nervous system. So when we are in a sympathetic tone, we are having anxiety, fear or something like that. And we are losing that essence of leadership. While in parasympathetic tone, we are relaxed and we can take good decisions and we can become a good leader. That is what I feel. So these are my two questions, and no doubt, the nervous system is very closely associated with the endocrine glands, and you are talking about all hormones, and neurotransmitters are also there. So all they play a role in this, no doubt. But my question is, can we build brain in that way, by just creating positive activity, and then we can have those points strong in our cerebral cortex. So it is vice versa, or which way it goes. That is one question. And another one is, now we are talking about the laughter therapy. No doubt, yoga, laughter therapy, meditation, and reading some spiritual books or visiting some spiritual place. That brings all this kind of great changes, no doubt. But I'm talking about the laughter club. People laugh over there, and it is absolutely artificial. It is not something, we are laughing from our heart, So how it really changes, the chemistry of our body. Thank you.
Thank you. Those were a lot of questions. I mean, I'll try to summarize them all because I think they all relate very well. The first question I like to answer is the one about the laughter and how we can stimulate it, even if it's not real. And it is what happens is, for example, one of the things that my teacher used to teach me when I was taking the neuroscience is that sometimes, yes, it's true, we don't have laughter inside of us. Maybe it's not natural, but we can actually just put a pencil on our face, on our mouth, in our mouth, and just this action is already sending a message to the brain that is telling us, that is activating the hormones, the happiness hormones. So it doesn't matter if it's not coming all the way since the beginning from the heart. It will come, but it's really what it's doing is sending a message to the brain. And that's what we're trying to say with this neuro leadership here. It really is up to us to be able to stimulate many of these things that we don't usually do. And that's why it's so important to start talking about this, to start telling people that there is a reason behind all this, that there is an explanation, a scientific one, that maybe it's hard to laugh because we might be sad, that maybe we're going through difficulty, but we are still able to activate our endorphins, and we are still able to do exercise, and that will make us feel better. We're still able to meditate and be able to balance ourselves when our emotional status is not as is going crazy. There is a lot of things that we can do, and very simple things. We don't need too much for that. So we just need to know what it is. And we need to, and that's why for me it was very important to get into this topic, the neuroleadership, because we have the capacity. We all are able to look for information and things that we can do in order to stimulate both sides of the brain, and also all the hormones that are actually helping us become better people and helping other people, of course. So yes, that's one of the questions. I don't know if that answers your question, if there's more, because there were some, I lost, I have a long memory problem here. So let me know.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I'm getting your answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect what you are saying. Thank you.
Madam.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Dr. Badiuddin Ahmad, thank you so much for your wonderful lecture. My simple only one question: how does academics can make use of neuro leadership?
Oh, this is so important and so valuable for us academics, because if we understand how the brain works, if we understand how people might react to different stimuli, we should be able to create that stimulus in our students. And it's also helpful to understand how the students think, and how their brain, for example, just brain predominance is enough to understand why this student might be working one way, but how we can actually develop something else that is not being developed in their brains also. If they are more left, then we need to work more on logical parts. So we can also we can play around so much with all this information. And as educators, I have a specific presentation that I use for educators. And this, we go into the long-term memory, we go into the executive functions, we go into how we can develop all of these things with different exercises in education, with different exercises that we can do. And they are exercises that specifically bring about a result that we need to bring about with the students, that we need to stimulate in the students. So it's very valuable for education.
Already Friedman has introduced theory of SR theory, the stimulus response theory long back. How can we relate to this, your neuro leadership?
I'm sorry, I couldn't really...
Friedman has already evolved the theory of SR theory, stimulus response theory. Can we relate neuro leadership to that?
Yes, of course. There's many theories that relate to neuroleadership, actually, and I'm sure that you've heard. I mean, there's all these sorts of neuro tendencies, people looking for explanations, and I think that is why the human beings in these times, and this is what I call about the new world. We want to know. We want to understand more, and we want to know what is behind all this that we're doing. We want to understand our brains. And it happened to me. I took neuro-linguistic programming. I took, I don't know, so many different concepts, and I certified myself with all this, but it was still not enough. And it's great that it's not enough. It's still not enough for all of us. We want to be able to keep learning, and we want to have this curiosity for learning something new. So what I did, I went into neuroscience, and now I want to go even deeper and deeper, and there's more and more that we can do. And this is what we want to develop in our students. We want to develop that curiosity to learn something every day, more and more every day. So I think this is very important. Yes, of course, and we need to keep working on that. And neuroscience for me was that. It was just what the missing link, let's call it. It was the missing link, the understanding of how everything ties together. But there's so many theories that relate to that.
Absolutely right. And learning is never-ending process. You're right. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else with any question, any view, any point to make? Please.
Sir, good evening, madam. Very informative lectures regarding the mental capacity and the, you can say, the psychotherapy. I wanted to know, one question is how it is related to the hunger and the anger. When the person is hungry, then there are very intensive angry take place. And another thing, the how is mental capacity depends on the angry person. Can you suggest me? Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, we were talking about the laughter theory. That's one of them. And sometimes when, like I was saying, when we are sad, when we have somebody with a depression, when we have somebody with a serious, maybe even condition, a neurological condition, sometimes it's not easy to be able to do all this that we want to do with neuroleadership. But I still think it's very possible, and I had to do it myself. I had to experience, actually, I had a child with a neurological condition, and I can tell you, and I can guarantee that things like putting laughing sounds in the background, putting music. I used to put music for going to sleep every night. They are just very musical. My kids are all very musical. And she actually now sings, and she has a very nice voice, but it has stimulated her side of that side. And it has helped her get out of this depression. And now she knows she can help herself with music. Now she knows she's good at that, and now she can actually do something about that. So I think in anger, for example, we have to, there's so many techniques, of course, and I'm not specifically a specialist in that, but it all, if we go back and see what it is that is stimulating or activating that anger, I'm sure we can find a lot of things that we can work on specifically. And that's when we have to understand what is really stimulating or activating this anger, and how we can then neutralize it a little bit. How we can actually, the meditation, for example, for people with anger is so important. But I know many times when they are angry, they don't want to do anything, of course. So it's not easy, but it is something that we can do. And maybe even in a subconscious way, maybe we just, like I say, put put this music on, have them, have them laugh, have them play, have them do things that will help them activate this happiness and endorphins instead of keeping this anger. And I can tell you, I have tried and I have used it with people with very serious anger issues, and it has worked. And the most important, Dr. Ranjit, I think, is the way we react. And that's why neuroleadership is important. Yes. It happened to me. The way I answer to their anger is what's going to make the difference, because they are not going to be able to respond with anger. And that's just, it's a circle, right? It's a vicious circle, a positive vicious circle. And I have tried it, and it really works in the end. It just takes them down. It relaxes them. It's really about us and what we're doing to activate that anger, and how we can actually put ourselves in their feet to be able to help them. Well, don't make him do it. I would say that's the first thing.
But he's thinking society, you are laughing so much loud. But still I'm trying to the less louding, but very happily laughing. Some sound is there. So how can I convince? Because I told him it is very useful and it is related to this happiness and related to the hormone secretion for this happiness. But how can I make him understand? He's a graduate student, but I am unable to make him understand.
Well, give him the explanation that I gave to you, for example. Tell him how that works in the brain, how that makes a difference.
Yes.
That's giving him, sometimes, the young people need an explanation. They are questioning everything right now.
Right.
And so you need to give them a very scientific explanation. It's not about me. It's not about what I say or what I think. It's about what really is. Stand that it's you, not you, just saying that it's important. And also, like I was saying, it's make it, you can keep doing it and you can keep laughing, and he might keep saying that he doesn't understand it, but I can guarantee in some years he will always remember that laughing, and he will keep it in himself. And those are the memories that we keep sometimes. And maybe right now he will be embarrassed and maybe he will say, oh no, what do people think? But it will be there. It's really about you staying there and keeping.
Neuro-linguistic programming or neuro-linguistic stimulation things?
Well, that's a very, very interesting question, because one of the things that I had to deal with was my daughter had to do with hunger. It's where what is activating that anxiety? Most of the times, food-related disorders have to do with that. And like I was saying, my daughter had anorexia, so she did the other way. But the thing with this disorder is that there's control, which means provide for comfort and certainty in the specific things that this person is not getting control of or is not being able to understand or hold on to. There's something that is not helping them or is not letting them control their lives, and that you can maybe work on. I don't know if that's possible.
Thank you, madam. One question, last question is there, madam. The person, last question. Okay.
Morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, hi. Yes. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, Iribel.
Thank you very much, Maureen ma'am, for the wonderful explanation here. I just joined late because I'm suffering from some illness, positional vertigo. But my question, I want to ask here, that in the Indian families, the females are the leader of the home. They are taking so many decisions at the home. Is the laughter theory will support to the Indian women for neuro leadership? My question is, do you getting me?
I hear you very low, but I think I get the question. What you're saying is how neuro leadership can also help women. Is that what it is?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So
Are under very stress and taking so many important decisions.
To make big decisions with, dealing with work and family and so on. So I identify with that we do. So I think with the presentation that I gave to you today, is just a small example of all the things that you can do to help the women, for them to understand that they have and I think for me the most important thing is to understand that we are in control. sometimes as women, we have a feeling, I think it's this generational thing, that we can't control so many things, and there's so many things that we need to be doing at the same time, that is always an issue. So I think that it's important for them to know that they can control that if they start working on themselves. And so it all goes back to the same as I was saying. Let's work on ourselves, work on our own leadership. And I mean leadership, I mean just how we can empower ourselves. And so, women, this is really what we all need. It's just how we can empower ourselves by understanding us, by understanding how we think, and really appreciating that, because many times we understand it but we don't really appreciate it, we don't like it. So they have to know that what it is, what they have is what it is, and it is wonderful. And understand that they really can empower themselves by really doing things for themselves. For example, taking some time off, taking some pauses, maybe even doing the obviously the meditation will always help, and it's just 10 minutes a day maybe that you can take out of your busy day. So just help them see and understand that there's so many things that they can do to help themselves. I think that would be my best advice at this point.
Of course, of course. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir. Yes. 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 Yes.
Good
Thank
evening
you.
and good morning, all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Welcome.
Thank you, Bedkar sir, for this opportunity. And thank you very much, Maureen ma'am, for such a wonderful and enlightening speech and presentation. It was very enlightening for us. And you explained about laughter therapy, ma'am. Actually, I'm very regular yoga person. I do yoga every day. And my yoga teacher always says, if you don't feel like laughing, you just laugh. That will, your brain doesn't understand you are artificially laughing or you made that laugh. It gives the stimulus to start. So till now I was believing that he's saying like that, but your speech made me understand that it's true. It's really going to help me. Thank you so much. And even just now you told about meditation. Because as I'm a professor, I work and I have my kids, it makes me tense. So I've started meditation since last 2-3 years, and it's really working well with me too, ma'am. So your experience, I have been experiencing that. It's very good. And you told about cerebral dominancy. That is the best part which we educators can explore, because I found it very interesting. We can use and explore for our students to understand their feeling, to make them understand if somebody is weak or student, how can we encourage. I really loved that part, ma'am. It was very interesting and very explanative too. Want to know more about it for my future field, but it's very helpful for us. And really the way we can stimulate, how we can stimulate, your speech has given us so much insight about the neuro leadership and how we can help everybody. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being such a helpful for us. I really appreciate your efforts and how you have helped us. And thank you, Bedkar sir, and the team, organizing team, for this. And I was just reading about this leadership, but by your lecture or speech, I came through really opening for understanding more. And I have now thirst to learn more about leadership. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything. Yes. Yes. Yes, of course. I'm here for you. I have all day.
My apologies. Are you referring to me? Yes? Okay. My apologies. So it's Edie Bell. So I understand it's a little bit challenging to pronounce my name. I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit of a sound issue. I have to set up some things here on this computer. So are you referring to the topic that Maureen covered, or are you referring to topics that I would be covering? Topics that I would be covering? My points. Okay. So I have been in the digital marketing space. I've been a TV producer for 7-8 years at a very young age. In 2012, I've moved into the digital marketing and basically merged the two, concentrating a lot of what's going on now with AI. So digital marketing, anything that has to do with media. So that's really my specialty, and the power of media. And as we can see here, the power of technology. This is a beautiful thing that we wouldn't have been able to accomplish 30 years ago. So it's a powerful tool that we all have to bring in solutions into different places, business, families, in many different ways. So that's what I'll be sharing about. If you guys have any desire of any specific need that you think that you would like to be enlightened a little bit, please let me know, or perhaps Dr. Bakar, I don't know how to pronounce your name, my apologies. And but I would be actually giving you guys a 30-minute keynote speech regarding just the surface, obviously, because it's not so much that we can cover in 30 minutes, but I'm definitely very grateful to be a part of the platform, and thank you so much for the invitation. So as I said again, anything that you guys feel that you would like to see, I'm located in the United States, so please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your concluding words. Today, everything was excellent in this international e-conference, keynote speech, the discussion afterwards, and also the views of session chair, Dr. Ratna ma'am. And now it is time for us, organizing committee, to extend sincere thanks to all of you. So I would like to invite convener of this international e-conference, Dr. S.S. Kale sir, for formal vote of thanks. Please, Kale sir.
Good evening. Good evening to all. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. I want to express my sincere gratitude to organizer of this international conference, Honorable Principal Dr. Maheshwarji Bedkar, who organized one-day international conference on neuroleadership in the new world. I, on behalf of organizing committee, convey deep regards and hearty thanks to Honorable keynote speaker Maureen Villalobos, ma'am, who joined from the Central America. Ma'am gives wonderful, knowledgeable presentation on leadership in new world. Ma'am focused on neuro connection with our body, emotions, internal power, laughter therapy, endo-equality, creativity, imagination, understanding, and so many points they are covered in his speech. Ma'am very well expressed the work of cerebral hemisphere on the role of neuro leadership. Thank you for this inspiring speech on the neuro leadership. My heartfelt thanks to Honorable Ratna Yadav ma'am for the session chair conclusion. I would like to thank all participants and attendees. Without support of all our colleagues, it would not be possible to conduct such a wonderful conference. We are also grateful to Professor K.N. Kadam, Dr. Prakash Karad sir, Jay Kadam sir, Dole ma'am, Dware ma'am, and so many colleagues. Especially thanks to Eribin ma'am, who joined in the conference. Also thanks to Swanand Shukla sir, Principal Badruddin sir, Satyanarayanappa, Dr. Ranjit Kumar sir, Sonu Kumar sir, and so many attendees. I'm very, very thanks to this conference, this Maureen ma'am. These are giving a wonderful presentation. Thank you to all. Thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the excellent questions also and stimulating our brains. Thank you.
Madam, my question is the sleeping time of human being. It should be night or it should be up to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, because now these days students are very wrong practice. He's leaving the bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. His routine is disturbed and he's not feeling the complete rest. What is the reason behind it? What is the proper time for the sleep, for the sound sleep or taking the rest for a healthy brain or neurodevelopment?
Definitely, the sleep is a very important factor. And the important thing is that you have the 8-hour, minimum 8-hour sleep. And it changes your life. If you cannot sleep well, one thing you have to consider or evaluate if the sleep is on and off, or if the sleep is permanent, because it also happens to us. We might fall asleep and we might think we sleep the 8 hours, but we're not deeply sleeping. And many times what happens with the changes in schedule is our bodies are used to nature. We connect with nature. And definitely nature has the night for us to be able to sleep because of the darkness. Our brain usually cannot sleep as well if we have light. And so that's the first thing that we might consider. If you're going to be sleeping during the day, you better get a space that is very, very dark and away from light, because your brain is understanding that there is light. And if it's understanding there's light, it's not making that, it's confused. Let's say we're confusing the brain. So there's different factors, because sometimes people have to work at night and there's no choice, right? But if we can help by giving them that darkness during the time that they get that sleep. And then another thing is if they understand if they're really getting a very good sleep, and if it's not just a sleep with a lot of dreaming, a lot of anxiety, their brains are not really sleeping well. So try to ask that, find out if that's what's happening, and which one is really what's happening. If it's about the light, or if it's about the problem of not having a deep, profound sleep. And if in any case, there's things like melatonin, for example, which are natural vitamins that they can take while they're sleeping, but that will probably help their sleeping time be. And then there's other issues. There's hormonal issues. There's different things. Just be able to check on what really is happening and what is affecting that sleep.
Thank you, madam. My question is, mass student are shifted the timing for sleep. Mass student has practice of sleeping 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and leaving the bed at 8 o'clock. How it is harmful for this study as well for the neuro-linguistic programming parameter?
Okay, well, there definitely is not a good habit to be off the regular times. As I was saying, it's really about connecting with what the nature of the world is. The world is moving, the moon is moving, and we have night and day, and so it's following the cycles of what is happening. If you're disorganized in that sense, it's probably not going to help your brain. Well, in the morning, usually we always recommend in neuroscience to start doing the exercises in the morning, very early morning, because that is a time where our brains are at a specific vibration, let's call it, waves. They have different types of waves. So we want to be able to have a stable, for starters, the first thing is to have a stable schedule and to be able to have it pretty much the same every day, So at least get that organized. If the person is going to be waking up at 11 and going on, then it has to be like that every day, so that it keeps that balance in the person and the brain. And so we need to be able to see how this person can actually take advantage of these brain waves and at the best. And we have also cycles, life cycles or body cycles. So for example, this person might be better in the morning or might do better at night. Some people do work better at night and some people work better in the morning. So it's about understanding all these things and seeing how you can help them by understanding all this. What is your best time? Where is the time when you are working, your brain is working at its best. So you want to be awake at that time. So try to understand that and see how you can help him with that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, madam.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Principal, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. अच्छा लगता है सर कि मैं किसी